Good afternoon all. Today we will try to understand the detailed flow of VLSI design flow. Last class we have discussed about the VLSI design flow starts from system level design followed by behavioral level design, followed by after synthesis we can have a gate level netlist, transistor level netlist, then DRC, LVS, and it will go for physical design steps, then further for fabrication. Okay. So, today I have prepared the slides in such a way that we can able to understand in a detailed manner all the steps. Okay. So, today we will try to complete this class, and next class onwards we will start with Verilog coding fundamentals. So, starting with system specification. So, once you were ready to design any particular IC for a particular application, then first step is to decide the specification of the system. So, specifications are nothing but these are high level representation of the system. So, in hardware the mostly the factors considered for deciding the specification of the systems are performance, functionality and area. So, it is always highly importance for us that what hardware we are going to use, how it is performs in the real time basis. So, speed of the hardware always matter. So, depending upon that we also have to understand that whether what is the functionality of the hardware, that means which functionality is preferable for a consumer for his application. Followed by many times also factors like areas are also taken into consideration, because areas again related to heat loss and also the portability of the system. In today's IoT trends, most of the systems are handheld or portable device. So, these are the factors we have to consider while deciding the specification of a system. Sometimes fabrication technology and also not listed here, sometimes cost of the product is also another factor which is also important for deciding your specification. Okay. So, mostly if we will see the technical aspect, so we are dealing with functionality, what it aims to perform, followed by the performance always related to speed of the system, followed by area of the design, because you can write optimized code or algorithms to minimize your area. Sometimes also subsequently power can also be minimized. Okay. So, these are the specification factors we have to consider. So, now specifications are collectively collective data from market requirements, technology and also economical viability. That means depending upon the last experience of the user, so feedback and expectations from the potential customers are being taken. Okay. So, out of that what are the current trends in the market and what are the future requirements of the market also being studied, and depending upon that what technology can be used to design that particular system is decided. Okay. So, as I told, sometimes your cost of the product also matters, means you are targeting to which sector, whether it is IoT or device, then how much the cost of the system, whether it is automobile sector, then what is the cost of the system. So, depending upon that the specifications are written in a simple English language to understand the initial requirement of your system or design. Okay. So, obviously the end result of the specifications are the size, speed, power and functionality of the system, which we are going to design by using VLSI methodology. Okay. So, once the specification is done, so we are left with a specification sheet with finer technical details. So, that means you started with a rough survey from the market, from the potential customers and their experience of using a same product, and let us say sometimes you are upgrading a product like mobile. So, earlier mobile was not available with a 14 megapixel camera, nowadays it is available. So, depending upon the customer's requirement they keep on designing new ICs. Sometimes in mobile market they call it as new SoCs, in which the entire design will be incorporated, that is system on chip in a single IC. Okay. So, at the end we will have a specification sheet with finer technical details, which has to be transferred to the or shared to the next level up team. Understood? So, this is all about your specification or about deciding about system specification. Then if you remember in the last slide I have shown, after specification there is a term written called system level design. Okay. So, I used to tell that system level design mostly we do algorithm defining here, what algorithm we can use. I used to give example of like if you are using a image processing engine in a camera, so what algorithm will be best suited for your image application. Okay. So, here actually in detail if we will go system level design, actually here if you will see system level design actually classified into two parts. Okay. One is called your architectural design. So, those as we are more concentrating now in this class on hardware design. So, I have not told you about algorithmic part, but anyway any hardware or any piece of hardware will never run without any software also. Here algorithm may be your technical algorithm used to run in a hardware for a particular application. Sometimes you can also design softwares like in ATM machine without software how it will work, in mobile if without operating system how it will work. Okay. So, in system level actually it is partitioned to specify that what architectural design you are going to do, how it is partitioned to have two set of design with you. One is called architectural design and another is called your algorithmic design. Okay. So, in architectural design is nothing but again the further step of architectural design we will discuss furthest. Okay, architectural design is nothing but it is something like how many blocks are there in your design, what blocks you need to design it. Like if I will say microprocessor data path. So, inside data path you know, this is a simple example to understand because we are readily using microprocessor from our since inception our BTech classes. So, in microprocessor you will have an ALU, you will have an register, you may have a shifter. Okay. So, now you have to decide in architectural level that my microprocessor, if I am designing a microprocessor, that microprocessor will have a data path, a control unit, data path. Further data path is actually called as a unit in a microprocessor which generally used to manipulate the data. So, all the ALU operation, shifting operation, incrementer, decrement, all operation happens in data path only, but it is controlled by control unit which is written in finite state machine. Okay. So, now in architectural level if you are designing a microprocessor, you have to decide that which blocks are there inside a data path. So, what are the different blocks and how many blocks are there and what are their functionality, and also you can decide what will be their speed, because their speed will matter to finalize your overall specification or overall design speed also. Okay. So, overall specification in system level design is divided into specifications of constituent blocks. So, one example I have given here, we will come to it. So, again how the blocks, what are the different blocks are there and how they are communicated with each other, because improper communication will not lead to a system. Okay. So, you will have a data loss in the design. Okay. So, so mostly once it is divided into different blocks, so you have to decide their functionality speed, you have to also decide their medium of communication of the blocks, and you have to many times also decide that what are the different architectural alternatives available, like how you can add or modify your design so that you will have a low power architecture. Okay. So, how you will make the things faster, like pipelining, if you know pipelining is a mechanism where we can increase the throughput of a system. So, at a time you can have more work done. Pipelining is with it decided with rate to your time. Okay. What are the number of output you are getting with respect to time. Okay, so if pipeline systems are there or pipeline microprocessors are there, they do operations parallelly. Okay, so it enhances the throughput of the system. So different architectural alternatives also you have to explore. Okay, obviously it depends upon your expertise in low power or how you are designing your system so that it will be more faster. So now it comes into architectural design. So those aspects will be decided in system level design. Okay. So that means at the end of the system level design, we may have a rough estimation of the speed, rough estimation of your outcome like throughput, area of the design or power of the design. So there may be a chance that you as a design engineer, you may have one set of architecture, another fellow may have another set of architecture, and his architecture may be better than you. Okay, so you have to think about different alternative architectures available, and accordingly you have to proceed. Okay, so that in this stage also you can put a bit optimization into your account, so that in further step also you have to optimize the things, but here also you can think on that. Okay. So selection of an optimal architecture best suited for application is highly required in or decided in system level of design. Okay. So that's, as I have written here, architectural design, because mostly we will deal in this course on hardwares, but at the same time system level design also partitioned into softwares, because softwares will run on the architecture to perform the specified application. Okay. So this is actually so here I told also last class that architectural designs are being done in C or MATLAB. Okay. So there you are not bothering about the structural details, rather you are bothering about how your functionality will meet. Okay. You are deciding different algorithms also, which algorithm is better, which architecture is better, what are the different alternatives available to get a better optimized architecture. Okay. So, so that is why this level of design uses high level language. Okay. So, you know C is a high level language. So, similarly system C I also told, that is another high level language which consists of C and SDL. And I worked in area of network on chip NOC. So, I also found that in NOC the systems are being done in system C, means the entire design, instead of in doing VHDL Verilog, they initially do in system C, verify their particular design. Once it is done, then we used to migrate to VHDL or Verilog to implement in ASIC or FPGA. Okay. So NOC is, for your information, NOC is called as network on chip. So like okay, I will tell. So I think this is actually a block which consists of a architecture. It is to show that this is a architecture, this is an architecture of a system on chip, where you may have one ARM processor is the most running or used processor in today's market. ARM processor, you may have different memories type peripherals like DMA, SDRAM, other peripherals for here memories are using for flash and SDRAM to store. So this is a single IC. Inside that entire thing is designed in Verilog, and that is being fabricated in one IC. And these are the connectors available where you can use your external RAM displays to connect and view or store the data. Okay. So here also there are many other UART is there for serial data transmission. You may have RF controller, like if you want that your IC will do a Wi-Fi application, so you may put RF related things. So data will be transmitted through RF, through understood, no? Not through cable interface. And these are the stuffs, these are actually the individual blocks, and these are the stuffs which is called as communicating medium, that is buses. Okay. So in architectural level you have to deal about the blocks, individual block specification, big specification will be divided further into individual block specification and how they are communicating with each other, that is what bus you are using. Okay. So nowadays when the system becomes more complex, so these bus are being replaced by sometimes these bus are not multiplexed. So actually here all the processors are there, these are called as master, and the peripherals will obey the master, so they are called as slave. Okay. So master will give instruction to DMA controller that you do memory related operation, direct memory access. So it will put the data in the address bus or data bus, and it will give instruction to DMA controller. Okay. So sometimes there may be a chance that this bus may be busy. Okay. So to avoid to make the design more scalable, nowadays the bus is replaced by a term called network on chip, NOC. Okay, so NOC is actually a term where network, computer networks, where our entire networks is running in routers, packets are being used to transfer the data, and so that the speed will be high, like we are accessing internet through intermediate switch and router. So internal to IC also that happens. The computer network research methodology they have put inside to IC, so that now there will be router, and each router will be connected to one these are also called as one IP cores, intellectual property core. Okay. So this is to show that this can be an architectural view to understand that this has to be initially designed in the system level of design. Now we have discussed in last class, next after system level there is another level of design which is called behavioral level of design, and I told that in that level we use RTL, register transfer level logic, to transfer logic to design the hardware, okay, or model the digital logics, and at the same time it uses SDL, hardware description language, for modeling. Okay. So in behavioral modeling what happens actually, once the main functional units identified, it has to be you try to estimate again the each unit and its area, power and other parameters. Okay. So accordingly the outcome of the functional design is using a timing diagram or other relation between units. That means now you have a main block diagram, it will be divided into small sub modules, and that sub modules will have its own input outputs, IOs. So those are how it is connected, that from architectural diagram. So now you have to decide or design the individual block and their area and their power requirement. So now you have to model that block. Okay. So there are different modeling style exist for Verilog, like data flow, structure, or sometimes data flow is also called as continuous assignment statement, structural modeling, procedural assignment statement. But mostly in top level of the things it is done in behavioral level of modeling, which is also called procedural assignment statement. Okay. So complex processing designs are actually realized here. See, your design is very big, like I told microprocessor. So microprocessor is divided into two parts, one is basically two blocks, one is called control unit, another is called your data path unit. Okay. So your entire design, complex design, will be now divided into two units, basically a combination of two basic units, one is called your processing element and another is called your storage. Okay. So there will be a processing element, so I can say this is as a P. So processing element will have a connection with a storage element. So storage element here is nothing but your memory itself. Okay. So obviously again storage element will have a control signal to control it, and also processing element may have a control signal to process it, but again processing element also is used to control also the storage. Okay. So this is actually called a sequential computation. Okay. So this actually what it does actually, the entire design is now divided into processing element followed by storage. So that means all the data will be processed and stored, that is what called stored in a register. Okay. So that's why it is called as register transfer level logic, and further the data whatever there, that result after processing the data which is stored in a storage medium like memory, that or registers, that can be used in subsequent steps. Okay. So our entire complex design is realized by using register transfer level logic. Okay. So RTL to design RTL, the easier or the best method available in today's market or in industry standard is called your hardware description language, that is HDL. So, that is VHDL and Verilog. So, RTLs are have many different benefits, or you can say many different you can say features offered to model a digital design. So, one of the feature is it can model Boolean expression, that is which we call our data flow modeling. Structure can be modeled, structural modeling, behavior can be modeled. That means, if you are having a conditional loop like if, else, case, those can also be modeled in SDL, or that is during RTL by using SDL modeling. Okay. And also in RTL, by using SDL coding language, we can also pass information of timing. So, means when the data will be, output will be high, when it will be low. So, you will not find these things or these features in other coding languages like C. Okay, so, modeling time in also can be done in SDL, which is modeled in register transfer level logic. So, now in order to show in a better way, what we have done is, okay, once you have done a RTL code is done, the next step is RTL. I told that it is mostly the logic gates available in SDL libraries. So, we have to pass the RTL code through logic synthesis process, where this logic synthesis will create a gate level netlist out of the RTL code that we discussed. So, that gate level netlist will be created, but we have to give to the logic synthesis the corresponding libraries from particular vendor with whom you are going to fabricate your IC. So, that libraries also will be given. Those library will contain the corresponding gates and flip flops with its given area, power and timing parameters. Okay. So, logic synthesis is used to convert the RTL design to gate level netlist. So, I also told many times that logic synthesis take input as RTL Verilog code or VHDL code and input from the libraries, like information about the gates and its flip flops and its timing parameters or area parameters. At the same time, designer can also give design constraint, like designer can give what will be the timing requirement, what will be the power requirement and what will be the area requirement. Okay. So, in logic synthesis all these three information has to be passed. After that what will happen, actually logic synthesis can also treated as combination of translation, optimization and mapping. In last class we discussed that whatever gates available in the vendor library, that will be selected properly, because synthesis tools are written in they have internally a very optimized mapping algorithms. So, they will translate the corresponding code whatever you are writing to the corresponding gate, and for that gate a corresponding optimized gate will be collected from the library. Understood? So, that you can in better way we can understand through these figures. Like let us, I have written a code for XOR. I assume that this is a code written, this I have written in VHDL. So, this is a code written in VHDL, is a simple code. Entity is used to define the name of the entity as XOR 1, A, B are the input and Y is the output. And architecture of the code is something like it defines the functionality of the design, where A and B are XORed through a primitive gate available in the VHDL, and finally we got a result at Y. So, if you will I will tell that this is my SDL source. So, what it will do, logic synthesis will try to translate it into gates. Okay. So, if you will see one level of translate which is not optimized one can be done like this. So, I can take A bar B plus A B bar and OR it, A bar B and A B bar take, you OR it, you will get an gate representation for this code. Okay. But if you will use optimized and then you map, then we can say that instead of using this 5 number of gates, I can use directly one XOR gate which is available in the gate in the library of the vendor. Okay. So, this is how it take the code, it will try to first translate to a generic form of hardware, then it will try to find out with an optimized algorithm the optimized hardware available in the gate library given by the vendor, and that has to be mapped to the design to get a final gate level netlist. Understood? So, this is a small application I have taken. So, similarly, if there are big designs, so you can imagine that if 10k transistors are there, so optimization so much of optimization algorithms are there in that logic synthesis tool, so that it can handle in multi-million transistors. So, once your gate level design is done, I told that each level will have one set of simulation. So, we have to do a gate level simulation to verify that these gates are again now the real gates available in the with the vendor for fabrication. So, they have their own timing, power and area requirements, means parameters are now specified. So, we have to do a gate level simulation for functionality check, timing check and power analysis check. Okay. So, simulation here refers as that in A and B input I will give in A and B input I like this is A, I will give a waveform like this, okay, and in B I can give another waveform like this. So, I have to observe what is my output. So, that output whatever y will come, it should behave like a XOR gate in this particular application, like if 1 1 is there, it will have a 0 wherever 0 1, understood na. So, like that one set of output will be created. So, this is actually called as initial level of simulation, and I told this type of simulation happens with respect to your timing in the x axis. So, this is called as dynamic timing simulation. Okay. Your magnitude is represented in terms of digital binaries 1 0 and x axis represented in terms of timing. So, it is in nanosecond only, it represented as dynamic timing simulation. Okay. So, now behavioral level logic design is over by taking RTL coding into account. Now, next one phase which I have not told you in earlier earlier slides, this is called as testability and test generation. This is actually one higher level of semester course, so I have missed at that time, but as I am trying to give you a complete description of the flow, so I thought to include one slide. Okay. So, just imagine that in the right side there is a here in the right side there is a gate is there. Okay. So, let us say I have fabricated an IC for this. So, there are two gates with certain input 0 1 0, then 1 1 should be 1, okay. Then again this 1 and 0 should become how much 1, which is my fault free response. So, if this circuit will work as per the input given here and it will act as a particular gate how it is specified, it should take this 0 1 1 and give a output of 1. Okay. So, now what we have done, we have completed system level architectural we have decided specification, we have completed system level, we have completed behavioral level. So, now what happens actually after that we did the gate level. So, after gate level we know that we will go for transistor then layout. Okay. So, layout will go for physical design and fabrication. Okay. So, while fabrication there is a chance that there may be some masking is done in a improper way because machine is doing everything. Okay. So, there may be a chance that this particular connection or where, or you can say interconnects, whatever connecting between the output of AND gate to this OR gate, instead of to be a floating node means whatever input will come it should change the output. Okay. So, that is the property of a signal or where. Okay. If by chance this is connected to ground of the IC, so that means 0 it is connected to 0. So, those faults are called as stock at 0, understood. So, if it is connected to 0 my output will be 0. Whatever you give response, IC is fabricated, you don't have access to the internal architecture of IC, only one hard packaged IC is with you. So, what will happen, you will get a forcibly 1 0 always at the output which is a faulty response. That means your all entire effort is gone and your IC is faulty. If it is a targeting a market, you may lose the market. Okay. So, actually manufacturing has certain set of inherent faults. Okay, so like one is called stuck at 0, it will connect directly to ground. Sometimes it will have stuck at 1, it will directly connect it to 1. So in that case your output will not reflect what you want, what is your desired output will not be reflected. Okay, so that's why in order to deal this, so this means this has to be dealt after your fabrication. Are you getting my point? Simulation or verification is done before your IC is fabricated. In each step you are doing one sort of simulation, but once your IC is fabricated and it is faulty, what you will do? Okay, so your entire effort is lost. Okay, so that's why once your hardware is with you, you take the piece of hardware, use PCB, use give inputs, give output, use CRO to observe the output. So those set of things are called as testing of the hardware, which is mostly done post manufacturing of the IC. Okay, so in order to deal with this type of situation, what they used to do is they try to insert certain type of testability hardware to your design. Okay, so that means to this design they may add another MUX. MUX is a testability hardware used by using DFT, stands for design for testability. So your design has to be now make as a DFT compatible, that means design for testability. So if it is not DFT compatible, you can't check your IC properly after manufacturing is over. So what happens actually, to the same design they will add certain DFT hardware by using MUX. Okay, one simple such hardware is MUX. So what they will have, MUX has a bypassing capacity, you know, if 2:1 is there MUX. So one input they will connect to the input terminal, one they will connect to the test pattern. So if test pattern they are giving with selecting the test pattern as one of the input, okay, so then that hardware should work perfectly. Are you getting my point? So it is something like what happens actually, they will create a okay, we'll see it like this. Testability is checked after the logic synthesis is over. Okay, so how testability can be checked? To testability hardware is, or testability hardware is added to the design by using DFT tools, design for test tools. Automatic test pattern generation ATPG for the design is done. That means automatic. So let's say you have designed a flip flop. You know how the flip flop will behave if the flip flop is not faulty. Okay, so that behave how you represent by giving certain input and observing the certain output. Okay, so when in the simulation level I can add another MUX, and out of that MUX what I can do is I will give input and I will try to observe that what is my output. Okay, and that golden set of result I will save with me. So post manufacturing of the flip flop, if the flip flop is faulty, then that test pattern if I will give externally to pin, it will not reflected in the output. Are you getting my point? So actually testing is a bit another course, it is a complete course running in second year. Maybe in that you will be covered in a better way. So here actually we for the same design we make it as a testability hardware, and we give certain inputs and observe the certain outputs during our during the pre-manufacturing of the IC. Okay, so once fabrication is done, those data set will be given to the real test IC, and we will observe that if these inputs are given, whether output is coming or not. If it is not coming, then there may be a certain chance of manufacturing defects. Okay, so testing is itself is a big domain to understand with a big syllabus to cover in second semester. Okay, so it is for the time being I can summarize that testing is something done after your manufacturing of the IC, and verification or simulation is done mostly before manufacturing of the IC. Okay, so don't be confused on that. Okay, then once your gate level design is done, you made it testable design, so that it can be tested it can be tested after your post manufacturing of IC. but once it is done, the gate level netlist internally will represents a circuit, all the gates. So the purpose of the circuit level design is to develop a circuit representation based on the logic design, because at the end, in the lower level of hierarchy, we are going to fabricate the transistors. So gates are defined in terms of transistors. Okay. So the Boolean expressions of gates are converted into circuit representation by taking consideration into speed and power requirement. Here also we have to observe whether this transistor level netlist is actually meeting our specification or not. Okay. And for this, actually there are many circuit simulations are there, like Cadence, Tanner tools, Synopsys, all they are having their individual tools, where this is one representation to show you that you can see here, these are all transistors. Okay. Some are mostly I think NMOS. So these are all transistors. This is called a schematic capture tool. In schematic capture tool, you can just plug the transistors or pick the transistors from the library, put it here, okay, and you connect it properly, give input voltage source and do the analysis. Like if it is DC analysis, you give DC voltage source. If it is analog AC analysis, you can give AC voltage source. Okay. So this is a schematic capture of Cadence Virtuoso tool. Okay. So this is a small number of transistors. So this is diagram represents a analog design. So in analog design, you have to pick the things and put inside it and do the connection, then do the simulation to observe the functionality. Also power you can observe, area also you can observe. But here area will come actually after the real layout. Here only area, power and functionality can be checked. Okay. But there are tools like in digital design, when you will have multi-million transistors, so you can't actually represent each gate into transistor on manually or on your own. So tools used to manually enter such description are called schematic capture tool like this. But in many cases, a netlist can be created automatically from RTL description by using tools. Okay. So logic synthesis tool will give you a gate level netlist in terms of Verilog or VHDL hardware description language, and that can be imported into Synopsys transistor level or schematic capture or Cadence schematic capture. You will get a complete schematic of the gate level netlist. Okay. And that further can be translated to circuit level netlist. Okay. So this is called as your circuit level design. Now once your circuit level design is over, next is called as, before going to next is actually layout. So before going to layout, we have a level of design called stick level design. Okay. So just to understand in easier way, this is what, this is an inverter. Okay, CMOS inverter. So one NMOS, PMOS, input A, Q, output Q respectively, VDD and ground. Okay. So now this inverter I will change or replace by a sticks. So here all sticks represents certain layer information. So now yellow color represents actually PMOS will be, the rule is says that when there is a P diffusion crosses a poly, one PMOS will be formed. When N diffusion crosses a poly, one NMOS will be formed. So now here this is a common drain circuit. So this is drain gate source, drain gate source. So now gate of these two are common, that is A connected to A, and source drain are also common, that is connected to Q. Source is connected to VDD for PMOS, and here source is connected to ground for NMOS. Got? So now what I did is, this yellow represents P diffusion, green represents N diffusion, poly represents red color, and blue represents your connection, metal layers, aluminum for connecting. Okay. And this cross represents the actually the contacts used to connect this P diffusion with the aluminum. Actually the another rule says that when same layer will cross each other, it is a short circuit, but when different layer will cross each other, they are open circuited. So that's why you have to put a contacts. It's something in 3D view, it will be, a hole will be dig and some aluminum will be poured to make it a contact, a single point. Okay. So it is something like putting a contact to connect these two terminal. Okay. So now what happens is when a diffuse diffusion connect cross a poly or n diffusion cross a poly, they respectively forms a PMOS or NMOS. Okay. So for designing this, you no need to remember any dimension of the layer. Directly you can represent this in terms of sticks, sometimes in color if you are having tools with you, or in pen and pencil also you can do using monochrome colors, but in that case you have to specify each layer either dotted or solid line, like that you have to do. Understood? Now VDD and grounds are all connections are done in blue color. Okay. So now this is called stick representation. So imagine there are 10 number of transistors, directly how you will do the layout, this is the layout. So stick representation are the intermediate method to translate the transistor level diagram to layout. Okay. And stick diagram in each layer captures a particular layer information. Okay. Then this is metric free notation provides a platform to design optimal layout. Metric free means it does not have any dimension, there is no requirement to remember any dimension while doing stick diagram. And there are other certain rules you will learn in VLSI design lab, that in top BDD will be there, in ground bottom layer ground will be there, and in between poly sometimes vertical poly is more effective for designing an optimal layout. Okay. So similar different option, and input will come from the left side and output will go to the right side, because in left side again if it will there is another chain of inverter, that input can be connected to this output. If understood my point? This is output, another so this can be connected. If I will make output of this, then it has to go and connect like this. So then connection routing will create more capacitance, more delays. So input come from left side and output goes to the right side. So these are the rules used. Then after that, to this vendor will give certain layer dimensions. So like for polysilicon it is 2 lambda. Lambda is the technology in which you are trying to fabricate your IC, like 0.18 I told for 180 nanometer, 0.18 micrometer. So to this if you will put certain dimension, then this is your final layout. So this is one layout of the inverter. Similarly n number of, let us say million transistors are there, so million number of layouts has to be done. Sometimes for the today's tools what it is good is EDA tools, that if like from this design layouts of this each transistor will come automatically, you have to do the connection properly. And but if it is digital design, then entire layout will be done automatically, because it is so much of multi-million transistors are there. So it can't manually you do everything, but sometimes manually you have to find out the error and you have to make it error free. Okay. So this is the stick level representation. Then towards the end of the flow we will end with physical design aspects or physical design level. So physical design I told it has a floor planning, partitioning, then placement, then routing, then finally there is something called parasitic extraction. Okay. So floor planning and partitioning is something like it partitions the entire chip area into different small area segments. Okay. So it allocates the logic blocks, like you know that in LU is a block, register is a block, shifter is a block in a data path. So whatever area is given, so sometimes it is called aspect ratio. Depending upon the aspect ratio, your W and L means there will be certain area. So okay, there will be certain area, like here you can see. So this is, I have given one example for demonstrating placement. Okay. So this is somewhere W and L means area of the die where you can fabricate, that is given to you. So internally to this somewhere I can decide my LU will be here, my register will be here, my shifter will be here. Okay. So depending upon that you have to decide, allocate each entire area to each small area, and there you have to place it. No doubt you have to do it by using tools. So Cadence SOC Encounter or Innovus is the one tool, and Synopsys IC compiler is the tool used mostly in industry for this. We will teach you. Understood. It also allocates the logic plus to be placed in each area segment. Okay. And again floor planning is not a small thing. I am telling it in a 2-line. Courses are running on floor planning. How optimizely you can place your blocks in that particular area. Okay. So mostly computer science engineers, they design all optimization algorithm. When tool is placing it, internally optimization algorithms are run. Okay. So once floor planning is done, then those layout will be placed. So while placing the layout, we have to see that the interconnect lengths will be as minimum as possible. So sometimes you have placed one design here, one is here, so connection will be very high. And so if my VDD and ground is here in the chip, and all designs I can place here, so that interconnection will also be less. Okay. So there are certain rules you have to follow. So once placement is done, then finally routing is done. Routing is nothing but, you can say, interconnection of the blocks. Okay. So apart from this, in this phase there are power planning used to be done, like this one is VDD, one is ground. So alternate VDD ground will be there. So if there is a cell here, that cell will take VDD from here, ground from here. So that if you will take VDD from here, ground from here, then interconnect length is more. So power planning, adding ring, so there are lots of steps are there. Those will cover some other day, not in this syllabus, maybe other syllabus. Okay. So this is one physical representation of the routing. You can see this is actually a routing output in Cadence SOC Encounter. These are these two all mostly all diagrams are in Cadence, and so much of complex design. Okay. So only routing of layers are visible to you, but if you zoom it inside it, you will find the layout like I have shown you. Okay. And finally, once your routing is over, then actually you have done interconnection. So now interconnection, when you know that when there is an aluminum is running for a longer distance, or two aluminums are running in a as a conductor, they form certain capacitance. So capacitance is a plays a major role here. So if capacitance is very high, so capacitance will comes into existence after your layout is over. During schematic, capacitance are not there. Okay. So once capacitance is there after your layout is over, then we have to do parasitic extraction of the capacitance. So here it is called as parasitic. So sometimes RLC are also observed, resistor, inductor and capacitance. So mostly capacitance are observed along with resistor. Okay. Because this capacitor inherent delays in your design, and resistor will give you more power loss. Okay. So that is why optimum layout if you are doing, then your capacitance will be less. Okay. So those you may do in VLSI design lab. So interconnect capacitance are extracted from the layout. So it will be done automatically from the tool only. You have to just understand the tool, how to use it. And influence of the capacitance on the circuit delays are being observed. That means you assume that your inverter should give a delay of propagation delay of, let us say, 10 nanosecond, but it is a small design inverter, but in big design, if your delays are very high, your data is not reaching at the same time when it desired, then obviously your functionality will not be matched. Okay. So parasitic extraction tools are there of each company, so that we have to use. So once this is done, then what happens actually, here we have to add, these are actually called bond pads. Okay. So all this has to be added. These are, you can say, one placement of one design. Okay. So all these bond pads has to be added to your design, and this is called as step out ready architecture or design. Okay. So this, from here we will create a GDS2 file, that is called your graphic database system file I told, and that along with money you have to send for fabrication to the vendor, and then they will, after 3 months span of time, they will send you the IC after fabrication and also with packaging. So last slide is fabrication and packaging. Okay. So after layout and verification is done, your design is now ready for fabrication. So which is called as fabrication, in other way in industry they termed as step out. Okay. So layout data is converted to a medium of photolithography masks for each layer. So mostly we give the file whatever we will send, GDS file, that will contain layers and its information with respect to a 00 axis. Understood? So that means here something like this layer is here at 00, what layer is there, at this point what layer is there. So those information in a node file it will be generated and that will be sent. Okay. Then finally silicons with several dozen of marks will be created, and finally the fabrication will be done in a wafer. Okay. So finally The wafer is fabricated and diced, and individual chips are in a fabrication facility. You can see certain fabrication videos in internet and how it is being done. And then finally, if it is done, then each chip is then packaged and tested for ensuring that it meets the all design specification and that it functions properly. That means once packaging is over, they will send to you. You have to test for the functionality. Okay, they may have a preliminary testing there that their packaging is fine. Then they may send you. You have to design one PCB, and you can finally test your IC. Okay, and these are the few certain like PCBs are required, and you dual in package, pin grid array package, ball grid array, so quad flat package, QFP, that square type package. So these are the packaging medium available in market. Okay, so this actually concludes here. I conclude here the first syllabus of my topic called VLSI design flow. What are the design methodologies, and which is actually really required to understand the flow, and it will motivate you to further study this entire design process and learn the corresponding tools, so that it will give you a better scope of study, research, and also in career. Okay, so we will end it here. Next class we will start with Verilog code.